So about a week ago, I started recording a video that I had originally entitled Living with a Disability. It ended up being me going down rabbit holes, and it just looped back around to living with a disability. However, we're going to trash that video and we're going to start anew. Because instead of talking about growing up with a disability and working with a disability and, I'm just going to talk about living with a disability. Now, anyone who isn't new to the vlog knows that I usually, when we're out and about, if I'm not in the van, I'm in a wheelchair. And that is because I have a disability called distal spinal muscular apathy. That is a branch of the muscular dystrophy tree of disabilities. And I was diagnosed officially when I was about 12. In layman terms, that means the nerves that go from my brain to my muscles don't carry signals correctly. And what happens is there's a lot of garbage and there's a lot of signal losses, and my brain doesn't talk to my muscles correctly. And because of that, over time, my muscles have apathied and they're no longer really usable. I still walk. I use a cane, and usually like a sturdy secondary thing. Like when I leave in the morning, I use a cane, and then I have a ramp outside that I'll walk against to get to my car. And then once I get to work, though, I'll get out of my car, get into my wheelchair, and then go into work. That's just safer. When I was originally diagnosed, the doctor said there would be like a time where everything would plateau, and that has happened. I don't think I'm going to be getting any worse, and I really haven't gotten any worse, except there was a time where my wheelchair had broke, and I was using this like really small wheelchair that wasn't meant for long-term use, and it kind of messed me up. But that wasn't because of my disability, that was because of the wheelchair. Every day has, like, every weekday, I'll say, is, I get up in the morning, I get dressed, I get breakfast, I go to work, I do work, I come home, and I do vlog stuff. I'm a normal person. I don't do anything off the, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a friend, I'm a regular person. I have a more difficult time getting around. And a lot of that has also to do not just with getting around, but knowing there's going to be problems. Where I work is in what they consider a historic area, which basically just means that all the buildings don't have to be ADA regulated. The doors don't have to be bigger, they don't have to have ramps, they don't have to have elevators, and it's all in the name of preserving history. That just basically means I don't go into any of those buildings, because I can't, without major struggle that I don't feel that I have to. When we go out, the main things that I look for when we go to a place is how wide are the aisles, because there's a lot of stores. There's a lot of stores that they only have like a small amount of space, so their front door may be ADA regulated, but there's no way I'm getting my wheelchair through their aisles. And that's the other thing is my wheelchair's a little bigger than the normal wheelchair. It was custom sized for me because I'm a little wider, and because I had walked as long as I did with my disability, I have a wider gait, which basically means instead of when normal people walk, they walk with their legs straight down. I walk with an A-frame. I put my legs out wider to walk, and that's to help balance, center my gravity a little differently, and because my muscles technically in my legs aren't what is making me move, it's the tendons in my lower back, my tendons and muscles in my lower back, which is how I walk. I mentioned earlier about the ADA doors on a building. It's not always about the doors. Sometimes it is, and I kind of take a look out for that. But it's also, what does it take to get to the doors? If I park in the parking spot for the building, but their ramp is on the other side of the parking lot, what's the use of me parking where I'm at? There is a perfect example for that just down the road from us. There used to be a Starbucks in there that I never went into because the parking lot is ridiculous. There's about 7 or 8 businesses in this one little strip mall. They have 2 handicap parking spots. One of them, I can't get out on my driver's side because there's not enough room there, and I have to park on the other side of the parking lot to get to the ramp to get down to Starbucks. But those are the things I look out for. Like, for instance, back to what I was saying about where I work as a historic area, we like to go down to Williamsburg, Virginia. It's That's what Williamsburg is. It's an extremely historic spot. However, a lot of their stuff is accessible because it's all outside, it's all paved, except there is this one spot where we got stuck. When we went down for our honeymoon, we spent our honeymoon down there. And we took I took my wheelchair down, and there was this where we had to park to get from the parking lot to the main stretch of Williamsburg. We had to use their path, and their path had these tiny little blue stones, and it was a mess. I didn't get stuck. I was lucky enough to not get stuck. I just went backwards, and we went as quickly as we could, and we didn't stop the whole. I think it's like maybe like it sounds stupid, but it was probably like a 50-yard from the parking lot to where we were trying to get to, and we had to cross this path. Or we had to go and park all the way at the visitor center and then come across to their path, their accessible path. So those are things I have to do. What is going to be a bigger pain in the butt? And in all honesty, we'd already gotten out of the wheelchair. I just saw the path. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a nice path. We should be able to make that. That was a dumb decision. Those things I have to look out for. Bathrooms are another thing. Mainly is because when I'm sitting in my wheelchair, my digestive system is a little different. Not to sound gross, I just like to know where the bathrooms are, just in case. Restaurants are horrible because where they seat you and where there's a bathroom is usually in two different places. And to get out from where you're sitting to the bathroom and then back without disturbing everybody else in the way is a hassle. I try to keep a lookout for where they're at, and the easiest way to get to them so I'm not like bowling over them. Some of the worst handicap accessible places are bathrooms. Like, the worst. People are disgusting, and they are rude, and they will leave. Like, I'm not one of those people like that go, if you're not handicapped, you can't use the accessible toilet. I'm not that kind of person. I am the kind of person that says, hey, if there's someone waiting for the accessible toilet and the door opens and you push in front of me to get in, you're a jerk. Happened in an airport once. I also had someone get mad at me because I was waiting for the accessible bathroom. I have also gone into bathrooms where the floor is wet, and if I'm transferring from my chair to the toilet, I'm not standing up, I'm just sliding from one to another, and if my feet are wet, that makes that job more difficult. The worst, absolutely worst bathroom I've ever been in, and I'm going to call them out for it because I mentioned it on the vlog, was up in Waldorf. There is a Books A Million, and I've gone to the bathroom in there plenty of times before, so I knew where it was. I went in there, and there was water all over the floor, and I'm like, great, this is going to be one of those times. And then I noticed it's coming from underneath the toilet. There's water coming out from underneath the toilet. I'm like, oh man, I've got to go to the bathroom now. We had gone to lunch, we'd gone somewhere else, I had to go to the bathroom. This was not an optional stop. So I get on, and as I'm sliding on the toilet, I notice it rock. It's not bolted to the ground anymore. And I'm like, someone unbolted the toilet. Why would someone unbolt the toilet? So I do my business, and I leave, and I start sliding out to leave, and the toilet turns sideways. Not the toilet seat. The toilet itself dumps me into the floor, into the running water. Now, I was not quiet about this. I screamed profanities at the top of my lungs. I got into my wheelchair. I'm soaked. I go out searching for the manager. I hunt her down. I go, your bathroom is a hazard. Fix it. Because the next person who falls in there is not going to be as nice as me. And she thought I was joking. She thought I was just being a little overdramatic. She went in there and saw the disaster which was her bathroom. Now, that is the worst bathroom I've ever been in. The best and cleanest and nicest and largest accessible bathroom I've ever been in was a small Mexican restaurant in Virginia, Orange County, Virginia. I don't remember the name of the restaurant. It had been open for like 2 weeks, and we stopped in there on a church group. Like, I was going over for a church thing, and the group that I was with, we stopped for lunch. It was amazing. The doors were wide. There was plenty of room. The handles on the wall weren't loose or missing. The floor was dry and clean. I mean, so where there's always the worst, there's always the best. And those are things I had to look out for. When I go into a bathroom and the floor has been just freshly mopped, if I can, I'll come back 10 minutes later because my feet slide. Other things I look out for are snow and ice. We are luckily enough to live in an area where if it does snow, it's going to snow enough to where I'm not going to work. There have been a couple of times where it hasn't snowed enough and we were still open, and I struggled to get in. The thing about snow is it's crunchy. You know, you see it falling and it looks real pretty, and when you go out and walk in it, you get that like crunch. Well, the problem is, when I crunch, the moment it gets to a certain spot, normally you'd be able to shift your weight and move to the next one. I can't shift my weight as easily, and it crunches down less, and which causes my legs to do funky things. One of the other things when I walk is pain. The smallest amount of pain or discomfort or incorrect stepping causes my legs to react in such a way of panic. My knees will just unlock and I'll fall. And that's from the smallest things of like a splinter from the ramp just hits my hand the wrong way. I step on, we have these stupid little gumball things with these little spiky things. Those are the bane of my existence. If I step on those the wrong way, I have shoes on. I don't feel it, but because there's this marble size thing on the bottom of my foot, I don't have the ability to stop what I'm doing, lift my foot up and move. I'm already in that momentum of shifting and my knee just goes nope and it just gives out and I go down. I fell at work once because my hip, something happened with my hip. I was standing up and my hip popped wrong and then my legs just gave out from underneath of me and I went straight down and caused more problems. That has happened a lot of times. If I fall, I usually scuff up my knees. My knees are real banged up and calloused over from the years of neglect and abuse on them. I won't show you them. Talking about falling and busting my knee up and stuff, I've learned how to fall. I've learned how to brace for a fall. It's like what they talk about a car accident. When you see the accident happening, don't clench, kind of just relax and your body will take the impact more. I have to do that. When I fall, I know I'm going down. I try to roll onto my shoulder so my shoulder hits first. I try not to let my knees or my hands hit first because my hands are the only thing, even though they kind of look kind of funky and they don't work correctly, it's the only way I can walk because I need them to hold the cane and to hold on to whatever else I'm holding on to walk. And if I don't, I pay the price. I gouge up my arms or my hands, or my knees get all scraped up, or I slam my knees. If I twist wrong, I've hurt my neck a couple of times just because I've jarred. Yeah, I'll hit my head. Not these pair of glasses that I currently wear, but the pair before, I had to get these pair because I fell and I broke my glasses. So that's another thing that I try not to do. And I try to save my glasses and worsen my physical being, because my physical being will heal over time, yes. It'll take a while. And the other reason I learned how to fall is because if I fall and I hurt myself, it hurts me for more than a day or two. And because of that, it slows me down, which causes more problems. So I learned how to fall. I'm going to do a whole, like, growing up with a disability, mainly because that covers a lot of stuff of, like, about bullying and a lot of stuff about, like, detachment and those kinds of things. Now that we've had children, like we have a 13-year-old and now we have him at 2 months, people always ask, aren't you afraid he's going to have, like, aren't you afraid they're going to have, like, the disability? Yes, that has always been a fear of mine. It was one of the reasons while growing up, and I'll cover that when I talk about growing up with a disability, it's one of the reasons I didn't want to have kids. I didn't want to have that chance of passing on the disability. While it is more apt to be passed on to Mason because he's a boy, genetics are weird, I don't have any fear of that anymore. Mainly because I grew up with a disability. I know how to handle it. But where I would never wish that on him. Times have changed. And it hasn't showed up in anybody. It hasn't showed up in Ireland. It hasn't showed up in any of my cousin's kids. It hasn't showed up in my sister or her kids. And I'm completely satisfied that, you know, he'll be as normal as one of my kids can be. So I think that's where I'm going to stop. If you guys have any questions, feel free to either, you know, leave them down in the basement or find me on Twitter or come to our Facebook group. It is a closed Facebook group, and that's something new to me. I didn't know it was a closed Facebook group. Unfortunately, we're having some issues with letting people in. So if you've asked to be into the Facebook group, I've seen that and I've clicked on the add it thing, but it isn't letting you in. It's an issue with Facebook. Once I know what's going on there, I will let you guys know. So if you want to come and join, if you guys want to stand in line outside of our Facebook group, come on over. I will try to remember to leave a link in the description. Yeah, until next time, guys. Thanks for watching, and bye.